was looking into, well, I don't know if you're going to kick me down, but I was looking into the evolutionary, like the evolution supporters or believers or whatever you want to call it. It's the theory of how life started on Earth.
Yeah,
Um,
abiogenesis.
Abiogenesis, correct. And then the experiments that were conducted with it in like the 50s.
Miller-Urey. Yeah, Miller-Urey really isn't very good. Nobody really thinks that that is a good model for how life got started. But what was really cool about it is it proved that a non-living chemical system can produce the molecules that living things make.
What's the name of that molecule?
It made amino acids. I don't remember which ones off the top of my head, but I think it only made like one or two of them. There's if you looked it up, you could figure it out. I don't know off the top of my head.
Yeah, well, when I did look it up, it's a certain type of cell, but it wasn't a living cell. And
No, it didn't make any cells. It just made molecules.
oh, you mean in the experiment in the 50s?
Yes.
Yeah. Well, you said that it made amino acids,
Yeah.
but is that living or is that just
No, but it's so amino acids are things that living things use. So
Mhm.
like the conventional wisdom for a long time was that the molecules that living things have, like DNA, for everybody knows DNA, right? Um, Only life is capable of producing those things. But the
Mhm.
Miller-Urey experiment showed that that's not true. You can have a totally non-living chemical system, and it can build complex molecules. So but actually in the 1800s, I think urea was the first organic molecule to be synthesized without life. So that had already been demonstrated before, but Miller-Urey is just another example of it.
Mm. Well, I mean, I still think that believing in evolution is a faith. I think believing in not I don't think science is bad, but I definitely think it gets to a point where it is faith. You have faith that scientists will eventually, with enough experiments, be able to figure out how life definitively came to be with enough experimentation.
Well, okay, but if we used experiments, then experiments, it can't be faith. Whatever conclusions you draw from an experiment, that can't be faith. Because faith is when you don't have evidence. Faith is when you justify a belief simply because you want to believe it, or it's based in other beliefs which aren't based in like physical evidence. You know, like a lot of people have faith in God
Hmm.
when they know that it's possible. They know that any kind of God could exist, but the one they believe in is the one true God.
Hmm.
But and they just have faith in that, right? Because there's
Hmm.
innumerable possibilities. So you can't know, so you have to put faith in it. But science doesn't operate on faith. And me, even though I'm not a scientist, me believing in science, I don't think is faith either, because I have good reason to believe in science.
Hmm. Well, hold on a second. So, yes, believing in God is faith. If I hear you correctly, yeah, I agree to that. What I'm saying specifically is the faith that scientists one day, with enough experimentation, will be able to definitively prove how life came to be on Earth.
I
How, like,
I
living
I don't
organisms.
I don't really have that view.
But you believe in evolution. You think that 100, do you think 100% sure, like, or living organisms came from non-living matter at some point?
Well, that's not really evolution, but I do think that.
You do think that.
Yeah.
So why do you think that?
Well, we talked about this a lot last time we talked, so I don't. I'll try not to be repetitive, but nothing about the way life works. Well, let me put it. I'll put it a slightly different way. If life was only possible because of miracles, then we wouldn't be able to understand how life works, like
Mm-hmm.
at a fundamental level. But
Mm-hmm.
we know the chemical processes and the molecules and the stuff that makes life happen. So to me, no miracles required, and life is made of just ordinary stuff here on our planet. So to me, the idea that life arose naturally
Mm-hmm.
is the only explanation that is actually backed up by evidence. And I admit that it's an assumption, but it's an assumption based on evidence. and I think it's the most logical assumption.
I mean, you're fair to think that, right? But I still think I have faith in a God. You have faith in scientists. Not for all things. I'm not saying that everything in science is faith-based, but when you think that scientists, human scientists, with enough experimentation, with maybe in the next 100 years or the next 1,000 years, will eventually be able to definitively say, this is how life came to be on Earth. I think that's definitely faith-based. You have faith in scientists.
Well, so again, that isn't really my position. I don't know if we would ever be able to do that. Um, but again, I wouldn't call that faith because I don't know. We Science has come very close to eradicating polio, for example. It did eradicate smallpox in
Hmm.
1977. We're close to eradicating malaria. I mean,
Hmm.
so like I have good reasons to think that science will uncover things, and so I don't see how you would call that faith.
Well, I'm not saying that. Like I just told you, not every aspect of science is unnecessary or is totally faith-based. Science has a place and a purpose. What I'm saying in when science tries to explain outside of God, saying that God is not why we're here, but we're going to be able to use science to explain why we're here. I think that specific type of science is faith-based. Your faith is in the experimentation.
Yeah, I don't know if you mean faith as in trust or because when I say faith, I specifically mean that you have no reason to trust it. You have no evidence to guide your belief in it.
Hmm.
So if you mean faith as in trust, then yeah, I trust it, but I the reason I trust it is because of the prior evidence that I have for
Hmm.
trusting it.
Okay.
Like science has done more to shape the modern world than I feel like anything.
Mm, I don't think so, but I mean that's a conversation for another time.